Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. Welcome to another mad ramble through my mind as I try and make sense of what to do for game week 23. I have come to some conclusions. I'm not going to spreadsheet you to death like I did in the last video. If you want to reference some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about, do have a flick back. But I'll try and keep this reasonably concise. Before I start, just at the end of the video, I actually forgot to do it earlier in the week. I will do the presentation of the Bishop Brennan FPL Don't Panic League Cup for our mini league that we're running. So I will announce the winner of that at the end of the video, and maybe even have a quick look at their team, depending on how much time I take waffling on about my options for game week 23. So we have a double coming up in 24. The big question is which Liverpool third asset do I bring in for this game week against Ipswich? Because it would seem silly, obviously, if I am going to bring in a third Liverpool asset, not to bring them in for this game week. But it's not as easy as all that. I have played with so many connotations of what I might or might not do. So I'm going to run through these, and I'm going to at least go through the ones that I've ruled out, and I think I'm down to just two options now. They're probably not the options that you would have expected. Ones I thought I would have come to anyways. Pickford's clearly staying. He's in the double. I had a brief thought about Alice. Extremely brief. My other thought was moving Gabriel to Virgil van Dijk. Arsenal have clearly not been keeping clean sheets. But I don't want to. I'm ruling that out. It was one of my, it was certainly one that I was giving some serious thought to, but I am actually ruling that out for a couple of reasons. Arsenal do have a bit of a fixture turn coming soon. There's some nice fixtures coming up. Currently, we do not know whether Arsenal are going to make the cup final, and it could be that I want to hang on to Gabriel for a wee while for that blank 29. Now that's not definitive. I may need, even if they don't make the final, I still may want to use Gabriel as a cash cow for some other moves. But I haven't made that decision yet, and I'm very, very reluctant to move him out at this point for what is effectively one game week where Gabriel himself has got a very, very good fixture against Wolves. I've got a good rotation off the bench for when the double's on, and then he can come back in for another very good fixture in 25. And by that time, we'll know what the Carabao Cup final is going to be at that point. Other option is, and probably has been my favourite option for quite a bit, was to take Wood out and move him to Gakpo. Seems like the obvious move, but I don't want to do that either. Wood has been performing, whether he's been playing good teams or bad teams. He scored against Liverpool, obviously. Since I brought him in 3 or 4 game weeks ago, he has done so well for me. The Nottingham Forest team is set up to provide him goal opportunities. And as well as that, now he may again be someone that moves out, because I will be looking to move to a 3-5-2 model as we move towards that game week 29, and it could be Wood that is the one that moves out for that. I could look at moving Watkins out, I suppose, for Gakpo, but Watkins is in form and he has got some absolutely delicious fixtures coming up. I do need to see how the Duran-Watkins, the minutes plays out, but I ain't moving Watkins out at the moment. The thing with Watkins is once he starts scoring, he has periods in the season, we've seen it season after season, where he does not stop. He's going nowhere. That is a brilliant front three, and Bournemouth, not the easiest fixture for Woods. He scored against Liverpool, he scores against everyone. He had a little brief dry run of a few games, then he's come back strong. And I think in the last 4 game weeks, his averages are something ridiculous. He's had 12s, 9s, 8s. He's just ticking along beautifully for me. A few tough fixtures coming up. He may move out, as I say, when I look to move towards that 3-5-2, and I look to upgrade Enzo to Mbemo by about game week. I think it'll be about game week 25. So, where does that leave me? Okay. I only have one real problem area in my team. My team, actually, I really like the look of it at the moment, and certainly if we didn't have this double coming, I'd be quite happy to let this roll for a few weeks, because as you'll see, if you go look back on the last video in the spreadsheet, I've got some really lovely runs of fixtures where you just actually feel this team, you'd be absolutely happy with it, and a little bit of rotation off the bench. Enzo is the only real problem child. They're having blanked in the last 6 game weeks. Now Enzo will be the one that will ultimately go for Mbemo. Another thing that I want to do is obviously I want to get some of these transfers done, roll a few so I can actually bring in the players that I want, as I went through in the last video, and get to 29 with a couple of transfers so I can ensure I've got a full 11 going out, and then I can come out into 30 and just 1 or 2 transfers back in if I need to readjust things, and then build up more transfers as we get to the big blank that we're going to, there's doubles and blanks coming in 33 and 34. I actually am only considering 2 things at the moment. That is, I'm either going to roll or I'm going to bring in a player that might surprise you. So I'm going to show you the numbers for Gapco in the first instance, and they're not bad over the last 5 or 6 games. It's a perfectly viable option if you're going in that direction and your team structure is made for it. So you can see the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7 games he's returned in 1, 2, 4 out of 7 games he's returned in. Pretty good, plenty of blanks in there. His minutes have not been bad, but there has definitely been some rotation. You see he's starting well. So he's and particularly now I think with the further injury to Jota, with Jota been out for a few weeks, probably secures his minutes more. But I do believe we will probably see him coming off sometimes, depending on the state of the game, in the 60th minute, the 70th minute, the 80th minute. He will not, I guarantee you this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I cannot see him playing a full 90 in all 4 of those matches. And that's one of the reasons I won't take Wood out actually as well. I suspect when you add up the minutes that Wood will play in a team that is designed to provide Wood with goal opportunities, I guarantee that over the next 4 game weeks, if you add up the minutes, Wood will have played as many minutes in the 3 matches that we're looking at that Gapco will have played in the 4. So that's one of the other reasons why I have ruled Wood out. I don't want to remove him from my team. Those numbers are not bad. I think if we sort of added it up over the last 5 or 6 games, he's actually averaging about 5. And I can get to him in 1 move. If I wanted to make a midfield move, I think Diaz would be my option, but I cannot get there in 1. So there is a player that I can get to in 1 move whose numbers are actually better than Gapco's, who is going to play pretty much 90 minutes. Now, I'm not sure I am going to do this. It will be very punty, but it removes the Enzo problem for a while until I do actually then bring Mbemo in for him post game week 25 when there's a beautiful Brentford fixture turn, and it is this guy. Don't laugh at me, please don't laugh at me. He's returned there, what's it, 1, 2, he's returned in 3 of his last 5. He's averaging about 5 or 6 points over the last 6 game weeks. McAllister does this every season. He has a little spurt, particularly in now when there's like an easier fixture where he'll pick up a goal. He got a couple of braces last year as well. And I can just get there in 1 move. Guaranteed game time. And he does his XG. I know it's not great. He's a defensive midfielder. I'm not expecting miracles, but his expected goal involvement, as you can see, it's not that awfully bad. And he's a good finisher. I think he's a better finisher than Gapco, to be quite honest. And if you look at the numbers there, he's had 7, 8, a 7, 8, and a 10 in the last 6. He's guaranteed starter. You can put him in there. He's going to. You don't have to sweat waiting for the team to be announced every week. Or and in as we know with Liverpool, and he actually tends to be on that pitch, as you can see there, in most matches up until the 90th minute. Most of Liverpool's goals, we're seeing it week on week. We're seeing with Salah when we think our week is doomed, and then all of a sudden Salah comes in with a brace and assist in the last 30, or someone else does. Liverpool really up the ante in the last 30 minutes of every match. Their goals come in the last 30. If Gapco's not on the pitch for that last 20 or 30, he ain't getting you any goals. This guy's still here. He might. And his numbers are very comparable to Gapco's. And he's only 6.2. I can remove Enzo and have McAllister out there. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do this because my other option is I actually just roll for a week. Because the other thing I am so mindful of, You know, I do see other content providers and talking to people twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to get in an extra player for effectively one more additional fixture when they've actually already got good options in their team. They're going to come out of that with 3 Liverpool assets. Liverpool are going to be in the Carabao Cup. They've got a couple of Chelsea. They've got you know, 2 or 3 Newcastle as well. And they're going to be twisting themselves into pretzels trying to get a team out. And they're going to suddenly realise by game week 29, damn it, I'm going to have to use my free hit, or I'm going to have to take hits to get a 10 or 11 out. Just don't think it's worth it. And I've got a decent plan-ish, a reasonable plan and a map out to 29, so I could bring him in, but it might mean then delaying my move to Mbeumo by a week, and I'm not sure I want to do that. You know, he has a really lovely fixture run, and he's going to be able to come into the team nice and easily. I'm going to be able to do a little bit of, you know, take a little bit of money out of the defence, gives me enough to get to Mbeumo. Beautiful fixture run. I can take my time for a few weeks as I'm getting closer to that sort of 29 fixture. I've built up a decent amount of transfers. Maybe I'll bring in Wizard Cunha at game week 28, I think it is. Cunha's fixtures have a beautiful turn for that back end of the season. Pretty much, I think it's at 28, 29, right the way through. It's really, really something to look at. I'm really looking at, seriously looking at Foden by that 28, 29 as well. And believe it or not, if I do choose to move Trent out, which is a high possibility, there's a possibility that I might look to move Watkins, especially if I'm doing that 3-5-2. And depending on how these new signings are betting in for City, I may bring in Haaland. I may bring in Haaland for the biggest differential of the season if things are starting to turn for City. Now, things have turned. They're actually doing a bit better. They're back in the top 4. It'll be interesting to see how they go in these next few more difficult fixtures. But yeah, I'm seriously considering City have a really nice fixture run. You know, and I have not averse to the idea of bringing in Foden and Haaland as 2 massive differentials in that running. But I ain't going to be able to do that if I'm burning up transfers now. This is where I like the idea of bringing him in, Alexis in as a punt. Be a really good differential. It certainly doesn't weaken my team because it gets rid of gets Enzo out of the picture, who's just really doing nothing for me at the moment, and hasn't for many weeks. So this is a very, very long-winded way, as usual, saying I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If I do something before the game week 23 deadline, it will be to bring in Alexis McAllister. I'm not sure I'm going to do that either, because it still does mean I need to use an extra transfer post the double game week when I want to bring in Mbeumo and I want to do some other things in that run into 29, but still have a few transfers in my pocket just for final tweaks, and then coming out of game week 29 looking really, really strong before we then get to, and not needing to do anything with the team until we get blank in that double, where I'll be able to utilise transfers and the wild cards, you know, to go into those and dead end in wild card, etc., or whatever order I decide. That's so far off. It's a loose plan for that, but I know I'm going to need transfers and my wild card then. So that game week 29, very, very mindful of any decisions, which is why at the moment no, I don't want to move Gabriel out. I could bring in Virgil van Dijk and have that nice double Liverpool defence, or I could move Wood out, but he's free in 29. Do I really want to do that yet, etc. So at the moment, if I do something, I think it will be Alexis McAllister, but I'm not convinced I'm going to do something. I'd say I'm leaning towards the role. But I do like the idea. Nice differential, particularly if things don't go the way but if I had brought in Gapco, you bring in Gapco, you know, Gapco could go really, really well. It doesn't suit my team model to bring him in at the moment, and it's going to create me more problems down the line that I can do without. So I think at this stage, and I think you're only going to find out from me because this is probably going to be the last one of the week, it's Alexis or nothing. And then I'll reassess in game week, you know, when we actually hit the game week, actually, have I made a mistake? Should I actually look to bring in someone? I'll assess that situation then, but at least then I will have 2 transfers to, you know, to have, you know, even better options maybe to have a look at. That's it on the game week team, pretty much. We'll just bring it up just so you can have. So at the moment, I'd say the possibility is I'm going to do nothing. But you know what I'm like. I just think, oh, a little punt, get that little transfer finger going. It won't hurt. It won't hurt. It won't hurt a bit. You won't even feel it. Usually do. So yeah, that's kind of what the team looks like. Obviously, if I did do the Enzo to Alexis McAllister, then it probably would be Ahmad that drops to the bench. And there is the other conundrum in here. Why would I want to drop Ahmad to the bench? He looked, they're so scared of him. Glasgow Rangers were doubling up on him this morning to try and stop him getting in. He still had nearly created one good chance that should have been put away, and had a chance himself that on another day I think he'd have stuck in the net. Fulham away, yeah, decent enough, but they concede a few goals every now and again, Fulham. And United are atrocious, but Ahmad continues to shine. So again, it just be typical. I do a transfer that I'm not even sure I want to make. I put a player that I really like on the bench, and he'll go and bag nothing, and the player that I bring in does nothing. I think I'm rolling, folks. I really do, and I'll reassess after this game week. I've got at the moment, I've got Salah, and I've got Trent, and a lot of people are again twisting themselves into pretzels trying to get Trent back in their teams, having had him only a few weeks ago. Roll. I think I'm going to roll. Let's see where we are post game week 23, and we'll see whether I manage to keep my finger off that transfer button. I think that's, don't we? Anyway, listen. Last but not least, let's have a look at the FPL Don't Panic Bishop Brennan League. So with this league, and so if any of you want to join, don't worry that you're coming in and thinking, oh yeah, it's not fair, it's halfway through the season, it's not fair, it's supposed to come in if we're already, I did have someone say that, I don't want to come in, because I've obviously actually got a good rank. I said, no, join, mate, you've been subscribing for a while. I don't really look at who's number one, especially as it's my mate Chris, so we definitely don't want to look at that. It's more, because we only started pretty much halfway through the season, it's more, just a weekly award for who's got the highest points, and a quick look at their team to see what exciting things they did that the rest of us didn't. That's pretty much it. So we get the kicking Bishop Brennan up the arse charity cup for the highest point scorer, and then next year when we start again, we can have make it a proper league. So I haven't really actually looked at this, but if my eyesight, and I do not have the best eyesight in the world, if my eyesight is correct, I reckon we're looking at Mahuna Matata, Davy main prize. Davy, 77 points. That is a minor miracle, mate. I hope you're listening, buddy. 77. Let me just double check that in case I've got that wrong, in case there's anyone else in there. There's a few good scores in there. We've got some 63s, a 68. Mentioning there. No, I mean, it was a horrible game week, wasn't it? An absolutely horrible game week. 45, and I only got a 20,000 red arrow. So I was mightily relieved on that. But mate, to come up with a 77, how did you do it? How did you do it? Yeah, a couple of good performers there. Munoz and Castagna, nice in defence. Martinez, mate, I'd be shifting him on if I was you. Yeah, it's just Chelsea is worse than Man United's defence. Foden, yes, I'm really looking at Foden. I know he's come to the end of his good fixture run, back on form, and as I say, I'm not going to bring him in immediately, but good call, mate, having Foden in there. I'd hang on to him even through if you're thinking of getting rid of him. I'd be inclined just to hang on for him a bit, just to see how because it doesn't matter how many City can see. If Foden scoring, coming in those 10, 12, 11, and I think I got a 20-point haul out of him once last year, and I had the captain's armband on him. Bruno, listen, I still think Bruno's a solid pick. I know United are absolutely shocking, but he'll pick up a penalty. He'll pick up something when you least expect it, even in a terrible performance, as that one was, obviously. Ahmad, still like Ahmad. I'm not sure I'll be going to double United, but I do like Ahmad. As I say, I've been singing his praises all season. Palmer, we all had Palmer, we all had Salah. Wood, mate, good team, and Mateta, great call, mate. I'd be looking at Mateta as well, but I've just got my eye on that blank game week 29. Anyways, Davey, I'm happy to present you with the Bishop Brennan Cup for the highest score this week. Thank you, Des. Oh, unfortunately, Davey can't be with us here today, so I'll have to accept it on his behalf. Yay. No, I'm off my head sometimes. I'm going to leave it at that, folks. Listen, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't think I'm going to make a transfer. I think I'm going to roll, and you guys that know me know that is a very, very difficult thing for me to say. But I am just so uncertain of the right thing to do, and I feel like I'm taking out players that I want, and I just feel there is more value for me in the players that I will want to bring in without taking hits. And as I say, could get Gapco in. I think when Liverpool beat Spurs 6-3 earlier this season, I think Gapco was out on the pitch for most of that match. Didn't get anything. So it's a funny game, football. We create these narratives in our head that we're all expecting Liverpool to go wild against Ipswich, and they might. But you know, Gapco might just get the one goal, and Wood might get a brace against Bournemouth, and you know, we don't know. We don't know. I just know Wood's averages are good. Averages are good. Ezek's averages are fantastic. Yeah, that would have been my preferred transfer. So if you do have a João Pedro and you've got the money to go straight to Gapco, absolutely, I'd do that in a heartbeat. But I just look at my front three and I just don't want to change it. And the only one I want to get rid of out of my team at the moment in the immediate future is Enzo. And the only one I can afford to get to in one move is McAllister. And his numbers, McAllister's numbers, are actually all right. So that's where I'd go. But I don't really want to take out Ahmad either. This game would drive you nuts, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's my lot for this week, folks. Have an absolutely fantastic game. I hope we all get massive greens. It's going to be a very, very interesting one, I think, because I think there's a lot of changes happening in people's teams. So I think we're going to see a very, very volatile week again. But hopefully we come out the other side of it intact and with big green arrows. Have fun, play your own game, don't panic, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care. Bye-bye.